Personally, it was probably about $150,000, $18,000 for that machine. Into the 200 or 300 days without taking a day off, about $500,000 in. My name is Chris McKellar. I'm the owner-operator of Love's Ice Cream and Chocolate in the downtown market in Grand Rapids. We started in 2013, so we're coming upon 10 years. Started this business out of a passion for trying to understand where food and ingredients come from, what makes a good quality ingredient versus something that's mediocre, and really trying to understand what I'm eating in terms of all the constituents of that, breaking it down. So it sort of unintentionally began a journey to figure out food, and so that brought me a lot of different places, but I wound up teaching cooking lessons, going to culinary school, and ended up starting this business based on a need I saw in the West Michigan market for an absolutely made from scratch, minimally processed ice cream.
And did you start at this location, or did you start anywhere else?
We started Love's Ice Cream inside of the downtown market in 2013. We were in a little stall in the middle of the building that was 532 square feet. 3 years later, we moved to a new location inside the same building with 3,125 square feet. So it was like a 6 multiple of rent. Not quite the way the deal worked out, but it's a 6 multiple of space, and we now have a very large dining room so we can support our customer base, give them a great experience, and we have enough production capacity as far as our square footage to make the amount of product that we need in the way that we do it. And then we have storage as well, storage freezers to keep our product for our wholesale distribution, and all the tubs that we need for all the catering and events and scoops that we sell throughout the year.
Can you talk a little bit about the investment that you had to make to get started?
Investing in this business, it was a personally funded endeavor. I started a web development business back in 2007, and I ended up selling that to a competitor, and the proceeds of that I rolled into Love's Ice Cream as a startup. So years 1 through 3 were personally financed. We were able to achieve profitability 6 months into year 1, so I was able to start paying myself that first year. And in year 3, it was about 2016, we expanded into the new space. We also opened a pizza restaurant, Neapolitan style pizza. So that took a bit of capital to build out infrastructure like specific electrical, new gas lines, ventilation, and things like that. So I invested to start up. Personally, it was probably about $150,000. Then that second iteration where I took out a bank loan in 2016, that was about an additional $250,000 of a bank loan, and then another $100,000 of personal finances. So you can do the math, 350 and 150. So we're about year 3, we're already about $500,000 in. And that's because I value good equipment. I think giving our staff and our team the right tools to do the job is incredibly important to achieve an output or a desired result, and not compromise that. I like to provide a great experience for our customers, so that includes this dining room that we're in now. Ample seating, great aesthetic as far as a customer walks in. I want it to feel welcoming and clean, and just a place to build good memories with friends and family. So that was the investment that brought us to 2016, and over the last few years since then, I've certainly invested more, keep investing back into the business in terms of equipment, process, staffing, and then just general maintenance. Everything breaks, so we have to keep pouring back in.
Can you talk a little bit about the expenses that come in?
Expenses are an area that in terms of equipment maintenance, expenses are something that I didn't factor in well enough early on. I thought, well, I'm going to spend all this money to buy an ice cream churner. That should last for 30 or 40 years. Well, every couple of years there's something that goes wrong with it, and that can cost, I think out of the gate we spent back when we bought it 10 years ago was maybe $18,000 for that machine. Today I think there are maybe 25 with inflation and everything. But we've had to replace the motor due to some product leaking through. We've had to replace all the wearables, gaskets and seals and O-rings and these kinds of things, and the dashers that go on the inside of the barrel. Anywhere from a few $100s to $1,000 a pop there. But the biggest one and the most painful one is refrigeration. For whatever reason, refrigeration seems to not be as rugged as we would hope. And so currently I'm spending somewhere in the realm of $5,000 to $6,000 a year just on the refrigeration that we have at the single location in repair. It never feels good when something goes down, but it's now sort of baked in as one of our expenses that we just know we're going to spend that much every year on upkeeping our equipment. Aside from that, be it the disposal, at the dish station, can openers, scales, like you name it, everything breaks after a while. It gets beat up. I tend to do a lot of the repairs myself when it's within my wheelhouse, and then I have to call in professionals to do things like the refrigeration or window repairs or, oh man, you name it. I think almost everything has broken at least once, but there's a lot that I can do, and it saves a lot of expense when you can bring some of that work in-house.
Can you talk about your day-to-day operations when you first started to now?
Day-to-day operations when we first started involved me here 7 days a week. I was doing a bit of production, so making the product. I was doing every other job you can imagine with a small team. So of course, all the hiring, all the accounting other than end of year, marketing, you name it, customer service, every function of the business did fall under me, along with a few staff doing some of those jobs. And then every season we were adding staff until we reached a critical mass to where we could still be profitable, but we took some of those things off of my plate so that I could live a more sane existence. And now today, most of our team completes all the on-the-ground work. I do a very small amount of production. I would say my biggest function on site is R&D. So I still do all the product development, testing, and check in with staff and sort of looking over to make sure things are in working order, answering questions, guiding our team. But the kind of the hands-on work, I try to leave mostly to them. Then my day-to-day outside of that is still doing the bookkeeping, the marketing, a bit of customer service, the big problems that need to be put out, fires be put out, or exceptions that can't easily be solved on the ground, special orders, these kinds of things, and HR, payroll, hiring, still doing all those things. But that's kind of it sounds almost identical, but we'll just say that my time on the ground here is not as much as it was in year one, but I'm still very much involved in the day-to-day, although I try to empower my team to do as much of that as possible.
Can you talk about some of the products that you offer?
So the product mix that we offer at Love's Ice Cream in chocolate, it says it right in the name, but we're known for our ice cream. We have 16 flavors for scoops every day, both grass-fed dairy and coconut milk-based dairy-free, which is also vegan. You can walk away with pints. We have roughly 40 flavors, 20 of the dairy and 20 of the dairy-free. All sorts of options. Some are smooth, some have chunks, some have swirls. Everything from fruity to nutty to coffee, mint. We try to give everyone a little bit of something. We also try to give everyone a seat at the table in terms of allergen specifics. So we have things without peanuts, we have things without nuts, we have things, most of our ice creams these days are gluten-free. We've reformulated most of the baked goods to be gluten-free. There's still a little bit that exists, but most of it is gluten-free. We also do some peripheral things such as milkshakes. We do a mitten pop, which is our ice cream that we mold on a stick in the shape of the Michigan's Lower Peninsula, dip it in a thin layer of dark chocolate. Those are not only delicious, but fun and very Instagrammable. Aside from the ice cream and the baked goods that we do, we're also a chocolatier. So we have a line of bonbons, which is a small chocolate confection with a thin chocolate shell on the outside and then a soft filling on the inside. We decorate those through a variety of techniques, which includes, hand painting, airbrushing, garnishing. We have solid chocolate bars through an array of flavors, colors, and textures. So white milk and dark chocolate, things that are smooth, chunks, coffee, mint, chia seed and cherry, extra dark. We offer a line of ice cream flavors that I developed for kind of a low sugar approach. We use a sweetener called allulose and monk fruit to give you the same ice cream experience. I worked 6 months to develop that formula, and anyone who wants to cut sugar down, diabetic, keto, or just managing how much carbohydrate intake in your diet, it's a great option. We also make a line of toffees. We have almond toffee, peanut brittle, hot fudge, and caramel sauces for ice cream or dessert. A number of other confections that are chocolate centric that we make throughout the week here.
And when people are coming in, are they usually just getting ice cream, getting full things?
So for our business, the mix of revenue streams are the retail scoop shop, which we're here in now. I would say that makes up probably about 60% of our overall revenue. The additional revenue comes from events and catering, as well as our wholesale distribution. But far and away, our most profitable segment of the business is ice cream, and it is what we're most well known for and what we're able to scale the easiest. Going back to the idea of keep the main thing the main thing, it is difficult having a creative mind to bring it back to the basics, but I'm constantly reminded that the more we deviate away from that, the harder things become, the more details you have to keep track of. With ice cream, scoops are king for us.
What's your most popular ice cream?
So we get the question a lot of what our most popular flavors are. Tends to be the dairy-based, probably because it's nostalgic. It's what people remember. It's what people had growing up. Cookie dough is probably one of our top sellers. We make, of course, all of the cookie dough inclusions. Vanilla bean, probably very high up there. Cookies and cream. We just introduced peanut butter cup, or reintroduced, and I think that one might stand to be a real contender. On the dairy-free side, constant battle for first place with amaretto cherry and lavender blueberry. Sounds exotic. They are delightful flavors that once we debuted those flavors, they've never taken a back seat. They've always been at the forefront. But those are some of our tops. We do a lot of madcap coffee, both dairy and dairy-free, and peanut butter flavors tend to do pretty well as well. Americans love their peanut butter. One of the unique things about our shop here in downtown Grand Rapids is we are an ice cream shop with a liquor license. So we offer cocktails that are floats. So we mix up cocktails in-house, and then we serve them with a scoop of ice cream in a cocktail glass. It's a very fun experience to kind of get a little bit of ice cream and cocktail together. We also seasonally make ABV ice cream or sorbet, so alcohol by volume. So, most recently we did a sangria. Oftentimes we'll have a frosé as well, which is like a rosé wine that's been formulated to have 5 or 7% alcohol by volume, and it's a scoop. So as you're eating that scoop, you're actually eating essentially a frozen wine cocktail. Something that not a lot of other shops have, but it's a fun offering, and our customers really love that unexpected option.
How do you guys advertise?
The way that we advertise, it's a multifaceted approach, although it's pretty simple. I'm a big believer in building trust, and trust is built through genuine interactions in a long-term game, and not how do I get the sale now. We turn down a lot of events that would just be revenue generators, but to me, if they're not long-term customer builders, then I don't want to be a part of them, because I'm expending so much energy for a flash in the pan and then it's gone, and I haven't made an impact for long-term. So word of mouth is probably our strongest trust builder in terms of marketing. We of course use social media, Facebook and Instagram primarily. We do have an email list that is our birthday club. So you sign up, you get free ice cream on your birthday, and then we email these days about once a week. We have a flavor of the week feature, so there's always something interesting to look at and come in for. We offer a little bit of a deal on that flavor of the week. So either people can try their favorite flavor, or they can try something new or that they've been curious about for a while, the little lower price tag. And then our landlord does a fair amount of marketing on our behalf and on the behalf of the other merchants that reside in this building. So things like radio promos every once in a while, TV spots. Cumulatively, all of the other merchants here are also marketing to their audiences, and so collectively pulling in a person for your business is also potentially creating a customer for the other businesses. So there's a little bit of symbiosis that happens through that. Those are the primary means of marketing for us. And again, we're not doing a lot of paid, just because I don't feel that for our size and the caliber of what we do and how labor intensive and our materials cost so much more, I don't feel that mass blanketing the public with our message is a good move for if I want to realize any return on investment. So yeah, so long-term is the game, building trust, and long-term customers is the most important piece that moves the needle for us, but albeit very slowly.
You guys have any plans on growing or expanding?
Yeah, growth is always a question in business. We're always told if we're not growing, we're dying. I think there's some merit to that, but I also think it's not always true. I think we're pushed to feel like that's what we need to do. But I believe, and I feel I've demonstrated coming up on 10 years, that purposefully staying small can be so much better, because the end game for me with this business has never been how much money can I make out of it, because then my attention is not on the caliber of the product or the customer's experience. It's on how much money can I extract out of this proposition. And it's never made sense to me to try to completely maximize that at the cost of those other things, at the cost of my discipline toward, the caliber of the ingredients that we use and the processes that we use to minimally process our products, which in turn give the customer the best experience possible. So it's a balance of those things. And I have many, many times throughout the years looked at other locations with realtors. I put offer in on a building a number of years ago. So I've explored the opportunities to expand, but nothing ever felt like it was the right fit from a sustainability approach. That means my time, my energy, keep being a balanced person, our staff, what kind of load that we need to put on them, our equipment, how much capacity we have. So it's always been juggling those things, and I've never come to the decision that I felt it was the right move for us to expand. It doesn't mean I'm still not thinking about it or looking for opportunities. I have something in mind. I've looked at real estate, but I still can't come to the conclusion yet that it's all at the right place at the right time. So as far as growth from us, we're just going to keep trying to get better at what we do and keep trying to deliver more value than what we extract. I think that's the takeaway here, because if it was all about the money, we'd be doing things a whole lot differently. And that's what I want to become known for and respected for, is our unfaltering, unfailing dedication to that. And that's what differentiates us from a dime a dozen product that you see on the grocery store shelves that might look exciting, but at the end of the day leaves you feeling, not fulfilled / empty. I have a lot, but I'm a big fan of trying to keep things simple. And so I think the first point would be to understand how a business works before you dive in. And that doesn't have to be a long, extended understanding process. You don't need to go to school for that. You just simply have to understand what revenue is, what expenses are, what cost of goods are, assets, liabilities, and some of the general buckets. What is an HR function? What is accounting responsible for? Now, in a small entrepreneurial setting, those buckets, as I talked about earlier, are kind of all you. As quirky as it is, there's a book called The E-Myth. It's a really good illustration. You take a couple of weeks and read that book. You'll come away with a really good understanding of how a business should operate in terms of delegation, hierarchy. I think that's just foundational to going into a business where you're putting your time and your money or someone else's money on the line. You should have that measure of confidence. Now, aside from that, you're not going to know what you're doing for the most part, and that's okay. And at that point, it's fake it till you make it. A second piece I would say is take care of yourself, because if you're not operating from a good place health-wise, you're going to burn yourself out. You're going to get sick, and you're going to end up not enjoying your time and energy spent. So definitely a lot to say about that. But number one, prioritize sleep, eat whole food, and manage your stress. And that is going to bring you leaps and bounds beyond where a lot of people in our country are at right now. It doesn't need to be a rat race. It doesn't need to be just reaching for the next thing. You can take your time. You can focus on quality work, but the work that you do should be fulfilling you in some way. That's the main advice that I have. If I were to give a third tip, I would also say, it's sort of on the heels of two, but take some time for fun. I think that the first year I counted it might have been 70 days, somewhere around that number is days straight that I worked for that first year, but I knew that I needed to take some time off. So I prioritized that. And then from that point on, I never had a stretch like that. Sometimes you do have to pay your dues a little bit, but I work with someone who operates another business, and I think that they went into the 200 or 300 days without taking a day off that first year, and that's just brutal, and it's not necessary. Your business will survive if you take a day off. You don't need to go at it that hard, because if you're not balanced, you're not going to show up at your best for your team, for your customers. It's not worth it. Loves ice cream and chocolate. We make worthy treats for everybody, meticulously from scratch with intentionally sourced ingredients. In summary, that's what we're all about. We make minimally processed treats. Yes, they're treats, but if you're going to treat yourself, you might as well treat yourself well and in measured doses. You don't need it to excess, but when you do have it, get the best you can afford because it'll make you feel better physically, mentally. That's Love's Ice Cream in a nutshell. Minimally processed treats for everyone.